Welcome back to the Create Prosperity on Purpose video series. Today, we're going to be talking about advancing your vision. And this is really about getting clear on where you want to go and having strategies for creating what you most want in your life, for turning your vision into a reality. And the creating a clear vision for yourself is an important part of creating prosperity on purpose. We talked last time about having the right thoughts, the right mindset, the right beliefs around your goals. And today is all about creating a clear vision for yourself. And in all of these videos, I'm also sharing taking smart actions. Just these parts about right thoughts and clear vision need to come before you just jump into action so that the actions you're taking are having the impact that you most want them to take. This is a picture of me and my randomly assigned freshman year roommate in college. Her name is Terry. And before I met her, all I knew was that her name was Terry and that she was from Augusta, Georgia. Now, I'm from the Chicago area. I'm not a golfer, never heard of Augusta, Georgia. What I didn't know is that all these years later, Terry and I would still be friends. I didn't know that she'd end up moving to the Chicago area and buying a house across the street from my brother. I certainly did not know that I was going to meet my husband at her wedding. And I didn't know that all these years later, Terry and I would still be traveling together. The first trip we ever took was sophomore year in college spring break. Now, we were really lucky to be able to go away with our friends, and there was no parents around, going to be a great big party. And we were going with our friends, Debbie and Sherry. And Debbie and Sherry left on a Friday, but Terry and I had midterms, so we couldn't leave till Saturday. Now, we went to school in New Orleans, and we were heading off to spring break in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. So that Saturday morning, we pack up her cool cream color Camaro, and we start driving to Fort Walton Beach. And to get there from New Orleans, you take I-10 East, and you get off at the Fort Walton Beach exit. So we're driving and catching up. We didn't live together sophomore year. And finally, I said to her, Tara, don't you think we should have seen the exit by now? She said, yeah. So if you can remember back before there was GPS and MapQuest and even cell phones, what you would do back then if you were lost, what? Yeah, you'd pull off into a gas station and you'd ask for directions. So that's what we did. So Terry pulled off. I jump out of the car. I walk into the gas station and I said to the woman behind the counter, do you know where the exit is for Fort Walton Beach, Florida? She tilted her head and squinted her eyes and said, do y'all have a map? This is where we were, Birmingham, Alabama. We had driven 5 hours out of the way in the totally wrong direction. We had to drive 5 hours back down to Mobile, back over to Fort Walton Beach. We missed the entire first day of spring break. We were so embarrassed we didn't tell Debbie and Sherry what happened until we graduated from college. And I see this happening all the time with people's goals. There's a vague idea of where you want to go, or maybe a clear idea of where you want to go, but no real plan to get there. And you may end up somewhere where you are not headed. Now, I'm sure Birmingham is quite lovely. I've never spent much time there, but that is not where we were headed. And so today is all about creating a clear vision about where you want to go, and then also a plan to get there. And I'm going to be sharing with you tools of how to speed this along, how to turn your vision into a reality. And this is the second part of the Prosperity on Purpose framework. We talked last time about being aware. This is about being clear on where you want to go. And in this process, as we talked about last time, it's important to have the right thoughts, which will come into play with your goal setting as well. And also having a clear vision of where you want to go. And then, of course, taking smart actions to turn that vision into a reality. Now, if we think about what keeps people stuck, some of it is an undefined path. Sometimes we're just not clear on where we want to go. That's okay. Maybe your goal is to become more clear, but without a clear path, you're just going to be driving around with no place that you want to land. So clear path is clearly important. The other thing that keeps people stuck is blame. Blaming the economy, someone else in your life, the government, things that just aren't working for you. Thing with blame is it's kind of like sugar. First it feels good, you feel justified, but then you feel like crap, and it doesn't really move your agenda ahead. It just keeps you stuck on what isn't working. The next part is a limited belief system. So this is things like, I just can't do it. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I feel like a fake, that imposter syndrome. Some of the people I work with, when we first start working together, will tell me that they just don't feel like they're good enough. And that's just something that we say to ourselves that isn't really true. So that limited mindset can be in cities, and it can be on things like, I never reach my business goals. This happened to me for many years. I've always had a coach in my business helping to support me. And after several years of working together, and we were working on my year-end goals, I realized as I was getting my report ready to give to Phyllis, my coach, that I had a belief that I never reached my business goals. And guess what? I didn't. Here's the thing about goals. There's a double-edged sword. It can feel really clear and exciting to have them, but we also may have resistance to it because we feel really bad if we don't reach them. And it's really important to also look at how far you've come versus how far you have yet to go. And focusing on our mindset is a very important part of that. The next thing that keeps people stuck is having no support. Having a support of peers that you work with, a great advisor, a coach. If it's a tactical money issue, maybe it's a good financial advisor or an accountant that you work with. In the courses that I lead, we put together abundance accomplices so that you have someone to be accountable to your goals for and to cheer you on. Could be a mastermind group for you. But having support is really, really important. And the next part is taking the wrong actions. So it keeps people stuck, not doing the things that can move you ahead in your goals. So either not doing anything or not doing the right things. I was working with someone in helping them figure out how to grow their business. And what this guy was talking to me about was all his social media strategy and his content creation. Cool, important. But what he was not doing was having conversations with real people that could become clients for him. And so he was taking not actions that just don't make any sense, but weren't the right actions to move his goals ahead. The next step in this process is to figure out where you are. If you've ended up in Birmingham, instead of being angry that you're in Birmingham when you wanted to be in Fort Walton Beach, better to look at where are you at right now with your prosperity, with your success, with what you want to accomplish in your life. So here's some questions that may be helpful for you. The first one is describe what's less than excellent right now. What would you like to change both in your personal life and your professional life? Next question is what's going really well? What do you want more of? How do you want to expand on that? Again, in your professional life and your personal life. And the last question here is, where do you want to grow? What do you want to learn? What's up next for you to move your agendas ahead? So go ahead and pause the video now and take some time to answer these questions for yourself. Now, when we think about goals, there's other ways to think about them versus what is it that you think you want. A lot of times people tell me there's a number they want. I want to earn X amount of money per year or get a certain number of new clients. And those are okay. But what I found for myself personally, I found for the people that I work with, that number goal isn't actually as motivating as we think it could be or should be. For many years in my financial advisory practice, I set revenue goals, I set new client goals. And as I said before, I never reached my goals. And I had a shift to how I was thinking about my goals to make a significant difference. So here's a framework that I think will be helpful for you. The first part in that is, of course, knowing what you want to accomplish. I want to grow my business. I want to impact X number of people. What is it that you think you're heading towards? But then to clarify this is why, as Simon Sinek has taught all of us in his very famous TED Talk, is knowing your why. Why is this so important to you? Why is it that you want to earn a certain amount of money to provide certain stability for your family. Maybe you want to send your kids to college, certain kind of college that you want to go to, maybe so that you can feel like you're doing your best work in the world. You have a message that needs to get out to people. The next part of this is your beliefs. What is it that you believe about your ability to accomplish this? Now, some of these may be very supportive and some might be unhelpful, as we talked about in the last video, but just knowing where you're at with them will help you move towards what you want. If you have a belief that's operating in the background, like my belief I never hit my business goals, it's going to sabotage your ability to actually create that. Now, remember, we talked about last time, if you have a belief that is not supporting you, maybe you say something like cancel that thought away and replace it with something else instead. You go back and listen to the visualization that we did in the last video to clear some of those beliefs out. Here's something that I don't think enough people think about, but it's really the catalyst that pushes your goals ahead, which is figuring out who else wins. Who else besides you win? One of the things that was a big turnaround, major turnaround in my financial advisory practice was realizing that focusing on who else wins pushes my goals ahead at a much bigger level. At one point, there was a recession, and I totally switched all my energy to people need me more than ever. Oh my God, people were so scared about their money. They need me more than ever. And all my attention was on serving my clients and alleviating the fear that they had around money. And then what ended up happening was that year, the markets were down 17%. My business grew 40% that year. And I've seen this happen over and over with the people that I work with, that when the focus is on who else they're serving, it really motivates us. It has the attention on the right place instead of solely on us. Now, if you think your goal, well, it's really an important goal, but I don't get who else would win. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have an athletic goal. Let's say it's running a marathon. Perhaps the win is you're inspiring your family. They're seeing how hard you're working. I ran a marathon, ran several of them with lots of time in between. The last one I did, I was raising money for the American Cancer Society, and I had a thing on my back with my sister-in-law, Andrea's name on it. Andrea's since passed away, but when I ran this, she had ovarian cancer. And so I was running with her on my back, and I sent her this picture. I actually had a client at the time who was being a photographer for the marathon and caught this picture of me. So I sent this to Andrea and told her I was thinking about her. And I had no idea how much this would touch her. She was crying and she said, Ellen, I've always wanted to run a marathon. Clearly, that is never going to happen. And I felt like I was running with you. Pushed me ahead, had me being more motivated, and was really a gift that I didn't even realize would be one for Andrea. So who else is helping? Who else are you serving by you accomplishing your goals? Another way to look at this is by you not doing this, who is not being served? And the last part of this is getting support. So whether it's your family support, an advisor, a coach, a group of peers, having support in accomplishing our goals and keeping ourselves accountable is an incredibly helpful thing. I have a message from Money to share with you for this video. And I wrote, "Hi, Money. What messages do you have for me to share in this session? How can you make your vision even bigger? Notice how you might be keeping yourself, your impact, those around you small. If you knew I'd support you in your work, your goals, your vision, how might you change your picture of the future? Imagine I'm your business partner who loves to fund your good work. Now, as with any good partnership, we need to have clarity on roles and expectations. The more you are leaning into your goals that feel great, that bring out your best, that serve others, the more you can trust that I'll be there for you. Having said that, if you're thinking, well, I did that in the past and you didn't show up, money was a problem, I invite you to look if I was really the problem. Perhaps in the past, there was learning that needed to occur, or you were headed down a path that wasn't for the highest good of all. Also, in the process of envisioning, please have fun. It can be like working on your magic skills. The more you practice, the more you keep your vision in sight, the easier it will be to see the reality of what you desire. And if you're unclear on what you most want to create in your life, that's cool. Ask for clarity. Journal with the prompt, wouldn't it be cool if? Here's a money mantra for you. Money and I are partners for good. So let's go ahead and work with this journal prompt. Wouldn't it be cool if? This originally came to me through a Vedic astrologer named Bill Levesey, who's since passed away. But I really love this prompt. Wouldn't it be cool if? So go ahead and journal to this. Don't overthink it. Just write down the first thing that comes to your mind. So go ahead and pause this video. Wouldn't it be cool if? The first time I was asked this question, the first thing that came to mind was, wouldn't it be cool if I could be hired to speak in Australia, get flown over there? I've always wanted to go to Australia. Part of the reason is I think that I want to live there for part of the year. And I'd never been there. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if someone else flew me over there and I got to speak while I was there? Well, I set that goal a while back, but recently I was hired to speak in Australia and flown over there. And I spent 3 weeks there and it was awesome. And that goal all came from asking this question, wouldn't it be cool if? The next thing I'd like you to think about and to journal about is to project ahead 5 years. And imagine it's 5 years from today and you're writing about your life as it looks like then, but you're writing about it as if it's happening right now. So maybe you write, I'm living in this beautiful home that I look out and see the water. My work is rewarding. I'm working with the most perfect fit clients with steady streams of income coming, whatever it is for you, but start to envision and write out exactly what that will look like for you, what you desire it to look like. So go ahead and pause the video and spend some time writing on this journal prompt. So how was that for you? I've done this over the years. Sometimes I'll do 5 years. Sometimes I've done 10 years. And I recently found one that I wrote about 10 years ago. And I had written about how I go to Australia and how we spend a certain number of months there a year. And I realized that 10 years ago, I was already envisioning that. And it's not happening exactly when I said it would, but a lot sooner than it looked like back then. You know, the thing with goals is sometimes they don't always happen in our time frame, but they happen in divine timing. And it's really great to start to envision where you want to be, and then keep this journal somewhere where you can go back and look at it over time. So how do you start to turn this vision into a reality? We have something, a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. It's about the size of your pinky and it's at the base of your skull, and it helps to filter information. It helps us know what's important, right? We have so many things coming at us all day long. Without this, we'd be overwhelmed. I mean, if I just ask you, what did you not pay attention to so far today? Probably millions of things, right? We can't possibly. But what the reticular activating system does, the RAS, is it's the part that is used when you're at a party and someone calls your name from across the room. All of a sudden you hear that over the clinking of the glasses or the other conversations that are happening because you've been trained that that's important. It's also the thing that when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see that same make and model all over the highway. Now, you didn't go out starting your day looking for that, but it clearly is showing up for you because your car became important to you. Now, mental rehearsal is a way to be a little bit more proactive with our reticular activating system. It's a way to program it to know what's important for you. I mean, athletes have known this for years. There was a really interesting study that was done with basketball free throws. So it was a 30-day study, and they had 3 groups of people. One group was told to go into the gym 5 days a week and practice shooting free throws for 30 minutes. The next group was told to come into the gym and sit for 30 minutes, envisioning themselves throwing perfect free throws. And the other group was told not to do anything. After 30 days, the results were really interesting. The group that actually threw the free throws had a 24% improvement. The group that just envisioned it had a 23% improvement, so almost exactly the same, and they never picked up a basketball. And the group that didn't do anything had no improvement at all. This envisioning doesn't just work for physical goals. It can work for any kind of business goal you have, personal goal as well. This mental rehearsal, what you're doing is programming your reticular activating system to know what something's important. Now, I'm not just saying you picture things and you never take any action, but what it does is start to help you know when something's important for you. It is kind of like a dress rehearsal for things that you want to have happen in your life. This is my friend Mustafa, who I met on one of my trips to Ghana. And Mustafa grew up in this very impoverished area. He was actually the first child to even go to high school, let alone university, from his community. He's so inspiring to the people in his community. They call him Inspiration. So one day when I was walking down this road with Mustafa, he said to me, Auntie Ellen, is it okay that I daydream? I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Everybody daydreams. He goes, well, ever since I was little, right before I'd go to sleep, I'd envision myself going to university and studying and graduating. And I never even knew anyone that went to high school, let alone university. I didn't know how that was going to happen, but I just kept picturing it and feeling how amazing that would feel. Well, Mustafa's since graduated from university and is back serving his community. Now, did he know about the reticular activating system? No. Yet, he was practicing this on a regular basis. So this is something that we can all use. And I've named my process around this deliberate daydreaming in honor of Mustafa. So in a moment, I'm going to walk you through a visualization with a goal that you have. So think about something that you would like to see happen. Maybe it's a client you would like to hire you. Maybe it's you have a big event up or a speech and you want to be envisioning it happening a certain way. Maybe it's something personal that's up for you. It can be big or little. It doesn't really matter. But think about something that you'd like to have happen. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through this process, deliberate daydreaming, and the way this is going to work, and I'll walk you through this, but you'll think about your goal. You'll envision it in your mind's eye. If it doesn't have a setting, give it one like a movie set. You're going to see yourself in this movie as if it's happening right now, but you're also kind of like the director watching it happen. And as part of this, I'm going to ask you to feel what it feels like. So go ahead and sit in a way that you can feel relaxed and alert at the same time. You can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed, looking down gently. And just start by taking in a few deep breaths, noticing an inhale and a long, slow exhale. And in your mind's eye, bring this goal to your mind. Imagine it's happening right now. And notice where you are when it's happening. What do you see around you? Are there sounds that you hear? How does the temperature feel? Are there any aromas in the air? Are there other people there with you? If so, who's there? What are they saying to you, and what are you saying to them? Now, as this is playing out, notice how you feel, and actually feel that feeling. Notice where in your body you feel that. It could be excitement or love or joy or peace, whatever that is for you. And actually feel that feeling. Add any other details that will make your vision feel complete. And before you leave this, just pause for a moment and think about what's your first next step to turn this vision into reality. What's your first next step? You can open your eyes. I've had people get somewhat miraculous results from that. Now, I encourage you to repeat this over and over. Sometimes it happens with just picturing it once, but often we have to keep visions in front of us. I had one woman at a workshop find the perfect wedding dress because that's what she was envisioning. I had one woman years ago actually get a job the next day. She had been unemployed for quite a while. So sometimes it can happen quickly, but for many of us, and depending on your goal, maybe it's something you want to think about over and over. Now, this is something you can do in a couple seconds. One of the people that I work with, whose business is actually doubled in a relatively short amount of time, about 18 months, and she'd been in business quite a while, attributes this and getting really present to two of the most important things that she does. Before each and every meeting, she'll take a few moments to get really present, inhaling and exhaling. And then she'll envision exactly how she wants the meeting to play out, how she wants to feel, how she wants the other person to feel. What's the result she most wants to have happen after that meeting? I do this every time before a big speaking engagement. I'm picturing how the audience will learn something, how I'm sharing information that each and every person there will take something away all the way through to a standing ovation at the end. So think about what you want to have happen and what the result will be for you. So what are some other ways you can keep your vision in front of you? Well, one would be to create a prosperity picture. So what's a prosperity picture? Well, it's similar to a vision board where you take images that are important to you and put them on the board for inspiration. This has a little more structure to it. So on the left side of the board are for goals that you would like to have happen sooner, 5 years or less. And on the right side of the board, goals that you would like to have happen later, 5 years or more. On the top half are for goals that require some money. And on the bottom half, things that don't require money. So perhaps on the bottom left quadrant, you have a picture of someone meditating because you want to have a more of a meditation practice that won't really cost much money. And in the upper right-hand quadrant, maybe you have an airplane about some big trip you want to take. One of the goals I still have actually, is to take a year off and travel the world. Now, it seems sooner now than it had been, and it's lower down because I'm envisioning getting to speak around the world and getting paid for that. So maybe it's not going to be like I thought it was going to be originally, this huge expense and really far off. And a board can look like, and I'll show you mine. This is one, and I change it every 6 months or so. So, it can have different visions on there, different images that are important to you. You can get pictures off the internet. You can find images in other places. People don't get magazines like they used to, but that's also a fun way to find images that are important to you. What are some other ways that you can turn your vision into reality? One is daily visualization. We talked about that, picturing exactly what you want to have happen, creating a prosperity picture for yourself, picking 3 actions every day you're going to take. Stepping into action is important. Yes, you can create a beautiful prosperity picture and picture things every day, but if you're not taking action, you're not as likely to see your goals come to fruition. Have fun with it. Money gave us that in the message. Don't be so hard on yourself. It can be joyful to do this. Don't always have to be so serious. Create accountability or support. Maybe you have a buddy that you share your goals with. Revisit and revise. Sometimes your goals you want to switch a bit or become less important because something else has become important for you. And then relax into it. My mentors and friends, Chris and Janet Atwood, talked about in their book, The Passion Test, about having an intention of what you wanted to have, putting your attention on it, and then no tension. So we can get so focused on our goals. It's that wanting. Remember, that means lack. And sometimes what we really need to do is just relax into our goals. Okay, so I've shared a lot of ideas with you today to turn your vision into reality. What are you inspired to do? What actions are you ready to take? I hope that you've found some of these ideas helpful for you, and go ahead and commit to what you are going to do to turn your vision into reality. Next time, we're going to be talking about amping up your impact. This is about caring and sharing with your money. This is about making a bigger difference in the world. So I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, remember to be great and create great every single day.